So I just realized that I didn't say that a spoiler warning, and I didn't notice until I was like editing.
Hey, Arath,
Bro, what?
you should do another video for your channel.
Channel? What do you? Oh, I do have a channel, huh? I guess I should make content.
You should review The Mandalorian season 2.
But I review music, bro. What are you talking about?
What? Have you seen your intro?
It look, there it is. It says music, movies, and more, huh? The Mandalorian season 2. Last year, Disney debuted a show that I think is one of the better Star Wars content period of the last 10 years. The Mandalorian first season for me was amazing, and to a certain extent it was like kind of a cultural phenomenon, especially with Baby Yoda. And then recently, over the past 8 weeks, Disney has released the second season of The Mandalorian, and let me tell you guys, it's amazing. When it comes to season 2 of The Mandalorian, I think it really fires on all cylinders. And if you ask me, though I don't think it's better than the first season per se, I do think it is on the same level. And I think there is an argument to be made that it is better, especially when it comes to stuff like consistency between the episodes. When the show opens up, we are introduced to Cobb Vanth. He's a character from the book, I think it's Aftermath. And this, to me, and to a lot of people, is like what The Mandalorian is about. Because of like, I guess Netflix's kind of introduction into the TV game. Shows have become a lot more serialized, and there isn't much room for filler anymore. Whereas The Mandalorian, it takes time, and it's these little mini adventures, which I think there's an argument to be made that this is what The Mandalorian is. It's a Western style type show, Western in story structure, that is. And it follows just adventures episodically, even though this season it was actually, I believe, it was more serialized. I think that Pedro Pascal completely delivers in The Mandalorian as Din Djarin. Overall, I think, for example, Bill Burr was honestly one of my favorite parts of the season. Story-wise, I think it was great. There were those episodes that were more filler. For example, there was the first episode, I forget what it's called. The first episode where they're trying to take out basically what's like the equivalent of the worm from SpongeBob, and he teams up with Cobb Vanth. And then, throughout the season, we also learn that, hey, Boba Fett is alive, and then that comes to fruition later on in the episode, or later on in the season. Baby Yoda does get taken, and honestly, when that happened, when the tragedy, episode 14 or 13, when the tragedy happened, honestly, my heart got ripped out. I cried. Easily the worst episode was the first one, the Marshall, but even then it's still enjoyable content. It's still a great episode. For my top 3 for this season, because I couldn't really just pick one, The Jedi, which is Ahsoka's introduction post Rebels into Star Wars canon. I liked Ahsoka. I liked the episode, and I absolutely love Star Wars embracing its Asian influence. Star Wars is very famously both philosophically and aesthetically based on Asian culture. For example, Darth Vader's helmet was styled to make it look like a samurai helmet. They really took it deep, especially in episode 13 when we look at this town that's being taken over, and you can really see it in the magistrates. Her home was designed. Ahsoka was great. I think that you can really see her growth. For example, I was seeing a lot of people online thinking, oh, Ahsoka would never do that. She would never kill anybody. But we don't know what Ahsoka's been through in these past 20 plus years. The Mandalorian takes place after episode 6. We see Ahsoka grow up from a teenager in Clone Wars all the way to where she's at now in The Mandalorian post episode 6, post the destruction of the Death Star. We don't know what she's been through. My other favorite episode was The Believer, where they bring back Mayfeld, Bill Burr's character. And I think that scene where he looks at his old commanding officer in the face, smiles and shoots him, was fantastic. We also see some amazing growth with Din. Din was really challenged this season in what it means to be a Mandalorian. We look at Clone Wars and we see the Mandalorians are taking off their helmets, and then we're introduced to the show, and all of a sudden this is the way, which granted we haven't seen a Mandalorian in a while, but that's such a sharp turn from what they were in Clone Wars, and we see now that these are different Mandalorians, you know, they're children of the Watch, and Din's beliefs have kind of been challenged, and we see in episode 15 that he takes off his helmet because one part of his code, which is the promise that he made to Grogu, overrides another part of his code, which is that a Mandalorian must never reveal his face or take off his helmet. The last episode of the season, The Rescue, which had me geeking out so hard that I was I was watching it in my car, and I think there was a couple right next to me, and they definitely saw all these raw emotions coming out of me. Get up on my tripod. In episode 16, they go and rescue Baby Yoda, but they also get rescued. Here we see just how powerful as well the Dark Troopers are, because previously we'd only seen them take Grogu. And we see the Mandalorian, who's taken out plenty of enemies at a time, get his hands full with just one of them, and there's an entire platoon of them. Grogu finally gets his trainer, which is what he's been looking for these past 2 seasons, and it is none other than Luke Skywalker. And when he's going through the Dark Troopers like they are nothing, I was going ballistic, bro. As soon as we see the X-Wing come in, when the X-Wing comes in, and Cara Dune says, "Oh great, one X-Wing, we're saved." At first I thought, what? Just one X-Wing? What's one Ranger gonna do? And then it finally hit me. Oh my God, that is not just one X-Wing. And then he's going through these Dark Troopers using the Force, like just the Force. And then finally he pulls out the green lightsaber for confirmation that it is none other than our boy Luke Skywalker. One thing that I really love about this show as well is, like I said, from the character development, obviously that also involves the characters. I think Din Djarin, or the Mandalorian, his character is really well written in terms of development over the last 2 seasons. The supporting cast was also really well. Gina Carano, Carl Weathers makes a reappearance, even though he's not really in it for long. I think he's only in it for an episode or 2. And probably my favorite performance of the entire is definitely Giancarlo Esposito in The Mandalorian. He plays an excellent villain. Him with the lightsaber, the dark saber is amazing. I love the contrast that he had with Din, who was carrying the pure Beskar spear, and I think the spear is much more Din's weapon than anything he has in his arsenal. I think it was a great season. I can't wait to see what happens in season 3 of The Mandalorian. Overall, I would give this season, for me, Mandalorian season 1 is a 9 out of 10. This one is a very easy 8.5 out of 10. Can't wait to see what happens next. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Leave a comment down in the video what you guys want to see me review. I will literally review anything. I'll watch it, I'll listen to it, and I'll review it. I appreciate you guys subscribing. And even if it only gets 100 or so views, I really appreciate every single one of them. And I will see you guys around.